Greetings, my fellow philosophical thinkers. Thank you for tuning to LL3 Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful realms of planet Earth. Today's date is Sunday, January 11th, 2026. It's episode 1930. Illinois' first hate crime case. Before I proceed, you can find me on social media sites and podcast channels. Just type in Loki Luck number 3. Loki Luck Roman number 3 with 3 eyes. Or the Loki Luck Roman number 3 podcast. Furthermore, if you have any questions, comments, recommendations, all that good stuff, whatever you do, please use decorum. Hit me via email to ll3.podcast@proton.me. If you want to donate, go to paypal.me or cash.app/Loki Luck number 3. Hooked on PSYOPs once again in the beginning of 2026. Mind control at its finest, right? Yeah, a lot of us still questioning in good faith what happened in Venezuela. But I recommend folks to really look into it more deeper than what they tell you. Even yours truly's got to do the same thing. And the horrific event that happened in Minneapolis with the ICE agent shooting, was it Renee Good? And of course, originally, the mainstream media tried to use that one area and didn't work out well. And of course, the other alternative sites had the second footage of the video, other angles. And the sad thing about it is she chose poorly, and now Miss Good passed. Nothing I would endorse by any means. And of course, everyone's trying to go ape. They're going to go riots. They're going to burn down certain places, like a hotel. Some people got arrested for vandalizing, federal buildings and a hotel. Yep, they're going to bust them in now, right? And these even claims that even Miss Good too was involved with the faction movement, Antifa. Yep, being a faction slave doesn't pay, regardless of paradigm. It destroys liberty, from the quote of Noah Webster. And many folks on social media all want to hashtag the person Mr. Ross's name. Exploit him in vain. Could we say the Lizzie Borden complex? Damn straight. Guilty till proven innocent. When you folks ever learn from the lessons of the Rodney King case? That happened in 1991, I would say. George Holliday had a video, uses video cameras. Hey, pretty cool. Let's check out this. Someone's getting busted. And all hell broke loose. He didn't expect that. And of course, the media, he's a lawyer, first lawyer. He's innocent. How dare they beat the living daylights out of him? But when you watch the very beginning of the video, when you lunge at an officer, you're not going to spend a cup of coffee or a donut. This is history that people haven't learned. And don't get me wrong. I seen video footage when police officers were in the wrong. But Miss Good and her wife decided to obstruct. Is that courageous? No. Absolutely not. It just really dawns on me at times. You don't need to be a Trump disciple to figure that one out. And when you look at it, it's mainly an invasion, trespassing, where the people are going after illegal aliens. They want to call them undocumented people, right? Undocumented migrants. But they're illegal aliens. And people get offended by that? Who cares, right? This is what they say here in Merriam-Webster Dictionary. What invasion means, of course, act of invading. And that second definition, the incoming or spread of something usually hurtful. Synonym for that, incursion, or raid, right? You go further. Foray in road, eruption, descent, onslaught, assault, strike, bombardment, siege, aggression, rush, onset, etc. So you have to always examine that as well. And we all know, too, because, hey, the Biden administration let that happen, got more people in, another Bushite. And now they want to go after one man, which, I can have my reservations with the Donald Trump administration as well. Don't get me wrong. But it gets very juvenile when you act like little kids. Going, hey, don't hang out with that person. Like at daycare, right? And it's funny about what was disturbing. Of course, they all the mainstream news and all that. This one just came out today from Yours News. I know the subject is different. So Democrats reverse course and officer risk after fatal ICE shooting in Minneapolis. Lawmakers who once endorsed federal guidance recognizing the dangers officers face now dispute claims of self-defense following a deadly immigration enforcement encounter. Democrat officials who previously supported federal policies acknowledging the life-threatening risk faced by immigration officers are now disputing claims of self-defense after a shooting during an immigration and customs enforcement operation in Minneapolis. A shift critics describe as a sharp reversal from earlier positions. The dispute follows the Wednesday shooting death of Renee Good, who federal authorities said attempted to use her vehicle as a weapon against ICE agents during an enforcement action. Democrats in Minnesota and elsewhere have argued the officer involved used excessive force, despite prior Democratic administrations endorsing guidance that recognize dangerous situations in which officers may be forced to make split-second decisions, as detailed in a Just the News report. According to federal authorities, the shooting occurred after Good's vehicle blocked a roadway during the operation. Officers ordered her to exit the car, but videos show the vehicle briefly reversing and then accelerating forward, striking an agent. The agent fired several shots into the vehicle, and Good later died from her injuries. Newly released close-up footage filmed by the agent who fired the shot appears to show the vehicle turning toward him and accelerating at the moment he discharged his weapon. The video obtained by Alpha News has been cited by federal officials as evidence the shots were defensive. Liz Coughlin's very good. Alpha News, check her out, man. I love her content, so I'll continue on. The agent, identified as Jonathan Ross, was previously dragged by a vehicle during an attempted arrest last year, required hospitalization and dozens of stitches, according to reporting that identified him following the Minneapolis shooting. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said at the Wednesday press conference that the incident appeared to be an attempt to seriously injure or kill federal agents, calling the act of domestic terrorism. Noem said the agent fired defensive shots and used his training to save his own life and that of his colleagues, remarks echoed in contemporaneous coverage of the event. Local Democratic leaders sharply disagreed. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Free said publicly that the video evidence did not support a claim of self-defense. This was an agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying. Frey said during the news conference. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz announced the State Bureau of Criminal Apprehension will conduct a parallel inquiry through federal authorities have so far declined to participate in the state probe, according to reporting on the governor's warning investigation plans. Let me tell you about these two jerk-offs, okay? They're a bunch of cowards. And what kind of man who talks like this can get the F out of Minneapolis? He's the one that support that $25 million settlement to George Floyd's heirs, who actually killed himself with fentanyl because he couldn't breathe in the back of the vehicle. All right? That's a fact. Watch this stuff. Watch these video footage instead of shooting your mouths off. All you geniuses out there that can't even tie your own shoelaces, only have a pot to urinate in. And I digress. And Tim Walz, oh yeah, I'm gonna listen to a man who was an insurrectionist that had the National Guard stand down when the people were bust in to burn down parts of Minneapolis, including that police station. Yeah, I want to have Dumb and Dumber listen to them, please. And I continue on. The political divide contrasts with positions taken during the administration when Customs and Border Protection, an agency closely aligned with ICE, issued guidance acknowledging the hazards agents face. In a March 2014 memorandum, then Border Patrol Chief Michael Fisher wrote that agents routinely confront tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving circumstances requiring immediate decisions. The memo also addressed the encounters involving vehicles, stating agents should not fire at a moving vehicle unless they reasonably believe the force is being used against them, language preserved in the 2014 directive. Updated Homeland Security Use of Force standards issued in 2023 under Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, the glamour boy that he is, largely track that framework, stating officers may use force only when no safe alternate exit exists and only to the degree objectively reasonable under circumstances as outlined in the current policy. Well, based on the video footage I've seen from that one officer, Agent Ross, she did it to herself. And I hate to say that, folks. It's just the truth. You know, what am I? I'm not going to lick the boots of ICE by any means. No, I'm just examining it on a human element. I'll continue on. Former federal agents interviewed by Just the News said Minneapolis shooting is likely to be deemed justified under those standards. Jonathan Gillum, a former FBI agent and Navy SEAL, said the video led him to immediately conclude the shooting was justified. Arte Gredo, a former Border Patrol agent and current advisor with the Federation for American Immigration Reform, said investigators typically assesses whether a suspect had the means, intent, and opportunity to cause harm. Criteria, he argued, were met in this case, as discussed during a Just the News interview. Despite that assessment, Del Curdo cautioned that state or local authorities could still pursue charges based on their own interpretation of the evidence, potentially sidelining the agent for an extended period even if the shooting is ultimately ruled justified. Questions have also emerged over whether the agent would enjoy immunity from state prosecution. While Vice President J.D. Vance said federal officers have absolute immunity, legal analysis note the issue is more complex. Reporting has highlighted that federal agents can, in some circumstances, face state charges, a point raised in coverage by outlets ranging from the New York Times to legal commentary circulated outline. Former federal prosecutor Timothy Sinney said officers do not automatically receive absolute immunity and that any claim would depend on whether the agent was acting within official duties and whether the conduct was objectively reasonable. As analysis, he outlined in remarks to CNN, as investigations continue, the case has sharpened an already intense debate over immigration enforcement, the police use of force, and whether political leaders are applying different standards now than those they once endorsed from setting federal policy. So you're going to see that in a good way. Like I say, it is disheartening, of course, and it's just sad to me, but you don't obstruct, okay? Police officers are human beings too. What do you want? You want to become lawyers? Oh yeah, they should become lawyers. I remember some folks did that on their social media site. They should become lawyers. Okay, well, you're in charge. Do it. Become a lawyer. Don't just spew rhetoric around me. You're in charge. You want to do it? You want to have them do it? Take the lead. If not, keep your mouth shut. I hear people, we got to ban police unions. Okay, well, go through the guidelines, see how you get that done. I don't want to hear you beakering. Too many beakers out there. And it's totally absurd. That's why I always try to examine things thoroughly the best I can before I jump to conclusions. But you got folks out there, they're on the high horse. ICE agents, white supremacy, Nazis, buzzwords that gets them going. Mind control at its finest. It's just a shame what happened. Regardless, it's very disheartening. But the things you don't do, it's that simple. Choose your battles wisely, folks. Don't be like her. Please. And it's, like I said, it is very sad to see. Sad to hear, too. All right. I'll be back. Stay tuned. All right. I'll be reading a couple of articles here pertaining to this matter for Illinois' first civil hate crime case. This one came from Justin News. Actually, originally came from the Center Square, was a contributor. Came out yesterday. Constitutional concerns raised over Illinois' first civil hate crime case. This is Katrina Barker. A former Illinois Attorney General candidate says the state's first civil hate crime lawsuit, while based on horrendous conduct, sets a troubling precedent by allowing Attorney General to punish criminal behavior through civil fines that may exceed constitutional limits. Constitutional attorney Dave Shistokis, comments following Attorney General Raoul's announcement that his office secured a $90,000 civil judgment in the state's first lawsuit filed under the expanded Illinois Hate Crimes Act. The facts of what these people did are very, very terrible, said Shistokis, who ran for Attorney General in 2022, but the fact what an Attorney General did are equally terrible, because it goes beyond the authority granted to that office under the Illinois and U.S. Constitution. Court records show Chad and Cheryl Hampton engaged in months of racially motivated harassment of their neighbor, including property damage, racist displays, and hanging a noose effigy. The actions that later led to criminal charges against Cheryl Hampton. Cheryl Hampton was sentenced to prison for 3 years, while Chad Hampton was acquitted criminally but still ordered to pay civil penalties and damages totaling $45,000. Interesting. I'll continue on. The ruling marks the first time Raoul has used authority to granted by a 2018 amendment to the Illinois Hate Crimes Act, allowing the Attorney General to file civil lawsuits against perpetrators of hate crimes. Although the Illinois Hate Crimes Act specified a $5,000 civil penalty, the bulk of the judgment came from punitive damages imposed by the judge. Judge Jerry Kane ordered Chad and Cheryl Hampton to each pay $5,000 civil penalty, as well as actual and punitive damages of $45,000 each to Gregory Johnson. Stated a news release from the Attorney General's office, Gregory Johnson is the intimidated black neighbor in the case. This behavior is shocking, racist, and un-American, Raoul said in the statement. With dramatic increases in reported hate crimes, I will continue to use all the tools at my disposal to prosecute hate crimes and send the message that hate has no place in Illinois. Yeah, but when the state violates their natural rights, oh, we love you, but we love you, but we're going to tell you how to live. Right? That's so projecting indeed, right? Let's continue on here. Shistokis said the civil judgment effectively imposed punishment for criminal conduct through a different legal channel. In reality, they were fined for criminal activity, he said, and when you impose $90,000 civil fine where the criminal law would allow far less, you run far heard first in the Eighth Amendment's prohibition to excessive fines. He also questioned the fairness of holding Chad Hampton civil liable after a criminal acquittal. He's right. This gives the Attorney General the ability to get around the criminal law and still punish someone, Shistokis said, noting the lower burden of proof in civil cases. Shistokis said Raoul's civil hate crime lawsuit blurs the line between representing the state and acting as a private attorney for an individual victim. Could we say conflict of interest? Think about that, folks. The job of a government prosecutor is to represent the people as a whole, not to prosecute individual civil cases. Shistokis said, there's nothing wrong with a private attorney filing suit for a homeowner who was treated terribly, But when the Attorney General does it, he's picking winners and losers. He simply doesn't have the resources to prosecute every instance of bad or offensive conduct. Tsoukas emphasized he is not defending the Hamptons' conduct. This is not a First Amendment case, Tsoukas said. Once you cross into intimidating a witness during an active criminal case, free speech protection no longer apply. That's a legitimate criminal offense. The case highlights larger debates over hate crime laws and their enforcement, Tsoukas said, arguing they elevated certain victims over others. These laws sound good politically, he said, but they elevate certain victims over others. If you're a certain race, gender, or belief, or you're the victim of a crime because of that, the law treats you as a more important victim than someone who just gets shot on the street. Very good point. Very good point. And I know what the website called Cities 929 it was very similar on this matter. It said it was very the same thing, and they had to pay the fines and all that. And it is a constitutional issue, okay, on this. So I'll leave that article in here as well, so you can check it out for yourself. And here's one here from the Chicago Crusader. Attorney General Raoul wins civil hate crime lawsuit as on January 6th. General Raoul today announced his office has won the first civil hate crime case. Lawsuit filed by the Attorney General. As a result of Raoul's lawsuit, a Carroll County Circuit judge ordered the two white Carroll County residents to pay more than $90,000 for their month-long campaign of intimidation against a neighbor who was a black man. And it tells. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'll just pass this next paragraph here. In the case prosecuted by Raoul's office, Carroll County Circuit Court Judge Jerry Kane found Chad Hampton, 49, Victoria, Illinois, and his mother, Cheryl Hampton, 70, of Streator, Illinois, violated the Illinois Hate Crime Act, engaged in intimidation and disorderly conduct toward their neighbor, Gregory Johnson. Judge Kane ordered Chad and Cheryl Hampton to pay $5,000 civil penalties and damage of $45,000 each for Johnson. All right, and it's funny because they display swastikas, which is like I can say the sun symbol. They use the N-word, and actually based on this case, they're the ones acting like degenerates. Okay, synonymous to that word. People get it. So, regardless of your skin color, if you act like that, yeah, you could be labeled as one. And in front of they made a claim too. They use the N-word in front of a Confederate flag. Which one? The original one, which looks like the stars and bars, like with the red, white, and blue, with a few of the stars, or the Virginia battle flag, which they represent St. Mary's Cross, the X itself. So that's a Virginia battle flag. But these people don't even have a clue what Confederate flag is, right? But I'll continue on here. Let me see here. Chad Hampton also had previously displayed a swastika in a direct view of Johnson's home. I guess a sun symbol or a good luck charm, right? I came out from Egypt originally, or Samaria 3,000 years ago. They didn't even claim that the Masons were the Freemasons, original Freemasons that created that too. It's just a claim, so I'm not based on what I read. So I'll continue on here. The public is warned that the complaint contained images may be disturbing, but the whole thing is we gotta start looking at this a lot more than what it is, because always got to be aware about on this matter, because if you have an attorney general acting like a private attorney, yeah, there's a conflict of interest there. And of course, if you read the state constitution, Article 1, Illinois' Bill of Rights, they do have that law on there too, excessive fines. And I'm gonna see if you have it right here. I'm just guiding right here. Double jeopardy, yeah, because that could be worked on. All right, no. In my view, based on this, every person shall find a certain remedy in the laws for all injuries and wrongs which he receives to his person, privacy, property, or reputation. He shall obtain justice by law freely, completely, and promptly. Well, based on what I see here about what happened to Chad Hampton, who was acquitted, he still got sued. I do see they violated Section 12, and I'm just going to see right here about the cruel and unusual punishment. I know we have that here. Well, they don't have it here, unfortunately, but I could read this, Section 23. A frequent recurrence of the fundamental principles of civil government is necessary to preserve the blessings of liberty. These blessings cannot endure unless the people recognize their corresponding individuals' obligations and responsibilities. And of course, individual dignity. The same thing with that one, that's Section 20. But they don't really have anything on cruel and unusual, if I'm correct. I will find out. Hold on. I should have prepared myself before doing this, but yeah, that's like you saw. You gotta look at that's how I look at it. I do see a excessive fine issue on this matter, in my honest opinion. So hey, that's how I look at it. It's just a real shame what happened. Regardless, I don't endorse that kind of behavior. But if one's acquitted, then you're going to sue him and have the Attorney General do it. There's a problem. And I have to agree with the focus on this matter. And it's a dangerous president in the land of Lincoln. That's why, my friends, when the government knows best, it turns to manure. Let that sink in. Well, I'll be done. And that's it. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share us throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, recommendations, all that good stuff, whatever you do, please use decorum. Hit me via email to ll3.podcast@proton.me. If you're going to donate, go to PayPal to me or cash.app/look number 3. If you check out Yours News, Justin News and all that, that'd be great. Support them. Alternative media, the legacy media is dying. And because I'll be honest, every time I watch this stuff on those news stations, it's a comedy show. So observe responsibly. Think for yourselves. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love. May your guardian spirits be with you.